Welcome to the Sticky Note Marketing Show. I'm your host, Mary Zarnecki. Business leaders today are overwhelmed with a unique set of challenges, from rapidly changing markets to digital disruptions, leaving many uncertain about where to focus their efforts to grow their brands and their businesses. This uncertainty can lead to missed opportunities, wasted resources, and stagnant growth. But it doesn't have to be this way. On this show, I provide clear, actionable strategies and bring in guest experts that cut through the noise and deliver consistent results. I share what works and what doesn't when it comes to effective marketing and growing your business. Tune in to discover the latest insights and proven tactics to make your marketing more profitable, lead your teams with confidence, and achieve success for your brand, business, and personal aspirations. If you've ever wondered if it's possible to skip the overwhelm and map out a plan for success on a simple sticky note, I'm here to tell you that it is. So grab that pen and those sticky notes and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sticky Note Marketing. I am your host, Mary Zarnecki, and today I am so excited to introduce you to Scott Grates. Scott is going to be our guest expert today, and we are going to talk about all things relationship marketing. Basically, Scott is going to help us break down how to take advantage of all of those people that are already in your world that you're not connecting with to help you grow your business. I cannot wait for this. Get your sticky notes out and get ready to take some notes. So welcome, Scott, to the show. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate the platform and the opportunity to have the conversation.
Absolutely. I know there might be some people here who know you, but there are others probably that are watching and listening to this that aren't as familiar with your work. So would you mind just giving us a quick introduction to what it is you do and who you serve?
Yeah, the very quick intro is I own multiple insurance agencies, and I found a need in 2017 to help insurance agency owners improve their business. What I find is people who jump into this space, they're really good salespeople, but they're not really good at the business piece, the team leadership, team development, marketing. And so I opened a coaching, consulting, training company in 2017, which has now surpassed what I'm doing with the agency. So stumbled into that by accident, which is fun. And I also enjoy speaking and working with kids and really just giving back. So that's me in a nutshell.
Amazing. I love it. And I like too that you highlighted the fact that I started in this vein and realized that there was this gap. And so I filled that too, right? I love that. I think there's a lot of people in the audience here that probably have that experience. That's why they have small businesses or have the business that they're in. And then I like what you said too about we got into this business, or a lot of the folks that I was working with got into this business because they were good at one thing. But then as a business owner, you realize, oh, I have to also do all these other things. And one of those things is relationship marketing, right? So one of your specialties, which you've done a TED Talk on and you've written books on, and obviously people come to you all the time for your expertise in, is what I want to dig into today. Because a lot of times on this show, I get people who are talking about how to use their online platform and digital marketing and ads and all of these things to reach their audience at scale. But I also know there's a lot of people listening today that are not trying to sell millions of widgets to nameless, faceless consumer markets. And so for those people, can you help us understand, why do you really feel so passionately? Why do you think it's so crucial that relationship marketing is so important to so many businesses, even in today's digital landscape?
Yeah, great question. And in this digitally dominated world, what has not changed is the human emotional connection, right? Our need to have someone in our corner, right? Someone that we trust and we respect and we can get insight from. And algorithms will put you in front of, like you said, nameless, faceless people. I guess I have names, but faceless people. And that weighs ounces. But the eyeball to eyeball, the true, genuine connections, that's the relationship piece, and that weighs pounds. And when I started this, this is going to sound funny, but I was fortunate to be broke. And my wife and I were just starting our family. We had two babies, really, both in diapers or close to it, when I opened my first agency. And I was coming off of the 2008 financial crisis, where we were on the verge of bankruptcy and foreclosure, and I lost my job with a nationally known bank. Not just me, everybody did, full disclosure. But yeah, it forced me to start new. And I said, I want to own my own business for all the reasons that we think it's cool to own our own business, own my time and control my destiny. And what I realized is, well, all entrepreneurs soon realize like it's freaking hard and you wear a lot of hats. And I've never worn a lot of those hats and was told to use this DIRT model when it came to marketing. And the D is direct mail, the I is internet leads. So we were purchasing online internet lead from aggregator companies. The R was referrals, and that one seemed to work out. And then the T was telemarketing. And in this day and age, with do not call lists, it's almost impossible to telemarket. And then along the way, I started dabbling with TV ads, billboards, radio ads. I'm going to date myself here, but the yellow pages before Google. And so I was in all these different places, but I didn't have the budget to make an impact in any of them. I was just dipping my toe in the water. And so what was happening is it was just creating white noise. I was just another person, just another name and insurance agency and a list of dozens in the area, but I couldn't make a splash. And what happened is I ran into someone who I had met for the first time. The first week I opened, when you open your doors and you have no customers and you're brand new in a town, um, people pour in, but none of them want to buy anything from you. They're all trying to sell you something. It's like vultures. And so it was like day four. I'm exhausted. I'm stressed. I'm trying to figure out how to make payroll and how to make sales and all this other stuff. And in walks a well-dressed woman, a professional. And I'm like, she's here to sell me something, but she wasn't. And she introduced herself. She said her name was Becky, and she just talked to me like a friend and asked about my family and what I did before and why I started the business and what my goals were, my hopes were. And then she said, you know what, I can introduce you to so, and I can introduce you to this networking group. And it just went on and on. And when she left, she handed me a business card and she said, by the way, my name is Becky Smith. I own Accent Brokerage. We're a real estate firm a town over. And that was it. There was no ask of anything. It was refreshing and I liked her. And then I got mail from her. It was nice to meet you, handwritten card. And then we connected on social. And then she stopped by with a little plant a couple months later as a little office gift. And then she introduced me to someone that she knew. And the list went on and on. And about 7 months later, this aha moment happened. I know this was a really long answer, but it's important as far as the relationship marketing goes. I was working with a lady who was recently widowed, one of my customers, and we were going through her home policy and we were going through all these potential changes. She said, you know what, Scott, I don't think I'm going to keep the house. It's a lot to maintain now that I'm on my own. I think I'm going to sell. And I said, okay, no problem. Do you have a realtor? Where are you at in the process? And she goes, oh my gosh, we haven't bought or sold a house in 30 plus years. I wouldn't even know where to start. And it was like an apple hitting my head, like Sir Isaac Newton discovering gravity. The law of reciprocity kicked in and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I have to connect you with Becky Smith. She's the best realtor ever. And it was at that moment that I realized with the traditional marketing that I was doing, I was playing small in a lot of different spaces. It was white noise. But if I could take Becky's approach and just create meaningful relationships with people who are already doing business with the people I want to do business with, instead of trying to catch 300 fish, I'm going to go introduce myself to all the fishermen and create meaningful relationships with them. And then when they catch an abundance of fish, they'll throw one or two my way. And if I can do that with enough people, that was my sticky note marketing plan, right? That I think that fits on a sticky note. So really I reversed the engine to say, instead of trying to find the prospects, I'm trying to find the people who are already talking to my prospects so that they will refer to me. And we've been doing this over 10 years. We've had over 1,000 referrals annually for over a decade, and we've created this whole connection economy.
I think that's brilliant. And I think like what you highlighted about that initial conversation you had with Becky was so revealing because all these other, like you call them, like it's so true, vultures come in and descend and try to ask, take. And when you are different, like Becky was, it stands out. There's something that's distinctive about that because, like you said, in this day and age, it doesn't happen a lot. So I know one question I get asked a lot as a marketing strategist is, Mary, how do I balance my time between my long-term marketing strategies and my short-term marketing strategies? When you think about this strategy, this approach to building connections and building a referral network and relationships, real relationships,
Yeah.
how do you think about this fitting in with that, right? What activities are the shorter term impact versus the longer term impact part of this?
That's spoken like a true marketing person, right? I get this question as well all the time. So that's great, Scott, but I need to pay the bills now. And relationships take time, right? You don't go on your first date and propose when the entree comes, right? It's just there's an order to this, and there's just it takes time. So the number one reason people quit, and the number one mission of mine as a coach, a consultant, a trainer is to the problem I solve is inconsistency. So I don't do anything that's like mind blowing. Oh my gosh, I never thought of that. A handwritten card or connect on social. No, duh. These things that we do, thoughtful gift giving and sending an email and collaborating on a community project, all these different things are strategic and intentional, but they take time. And so there are necessary evils. And I don't for a second I couldn't sleep at night if I told someone that go all in on referrals right out of the gate. And it's like investing, right? You've got to have that mixed portfolio, and referrals will become a bigger part of it the longer you go. But yeah, you've got to do the necessary evils to create sales, to make payroll and keep going while you are building that referral network. So it depends. It's different in every industry. In our industry, like I mentioned, it's a lot of direct mail, it's internet leads. It's some cold calls with, I shouldn't say cold calls, just older lists of people we've maybe worked with in the past. They're not warm leads. It's asking a lot of friends and family members for favors and help and support. It's social media. It's running campaigns, all this. So what I do is really we start with a end goal in mind to be 100% referable. How do you become relevant, respected, referable, create top of mind awareness? So when people are thinking of your products and services, they instinctively think of you, right? That is the end goal. And we do this on a tiny budget because we're just pouring into our relationship partners. It doesn't cost a lot of money. But what do we need to do to pay the bills now? And those short-term tactics with that part of the pie chart is bigger initially. And then month by month, we try to change that pie chart to be more referral heavy. But yeah, it's not, if it was an easy process, relationship marketing, referral partners, everyone would just do it and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's not, but the rewards are huge in the end. And again, I use the investing analogy because you can't get to millions of dollars in your portfolio if you don't start with $50 every paycheck consistently when you're in your 20s. And so those are the seeds that we're planting now, knowing that where I'm at in my career today, we couldn't stop this machine if we wanted to. People send us so many referrals because they have been for years and we have those relationships. Even if we said like, all right, we're done pouring into our referral partners, they're not done pouring into us because we've built that trust.
But I think what you're saying too, though, is that you should still start now, right? Even if you're in a situation in your business where, okay, I do need some short-term cash infusion strategies, I got to do some of that. But even making small incremental steps to start including this in your business, the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to see those results, right? Because it's going to take time.
Yeah, you have to start.
Yeah. So for those, I know, because you wrote a whole book on this, right? What are some of the strategies that you recommend for someone who really hasn't done this consistently? Like you said, maybe they've sent some gifts in the past and yeah, I've written some cards or, oh, I send out holiday cards or that kind of thing. But how do you go from that ad hoc kind of one-off engagement to something that's more consistent?
Yeah, great question. And I use the word strategic and intentional all the time. If you don't create space for this, if you don't time block this, if you don't make it part of your daily routine, it's just not going to happen. Anything, exercise, eating, all the things that matter, if we don't block it and focus on it. So the first step is who are your key relationships? Who are the people in parallel markets who are already doing business with people you want to do business with? So for me as an insurance agent, it's car dealers, it's realtors, it's mortgage brokers, it's attorneys. They're already talking to the people who they're going to uncover a need for insurance and they're going to think me. So who are those people? And then we use a CRM system. So most salespeople think of CRM as sales, and we have one of those as well for our prospects and our customers at the agency. But we have a CRM system for our key relationships. And so we have all these different ways we can meaningfully connect with them. Easy for me to say. And it's all servant heart stuff. It's all value add, just like Becky. Like we never ask for anything. And that's the referrals done right part. It's not cringy. It's not I scratch my back, you scratch your whatever. And so you start with who do you want to target? And I challenge everyone to start with at least 20 because there's about 20 business days in a month. And we're going to start with one if this is new to you, one per day. And then we're going to come up with all these different ways we can connect with them in a meaningful, unique way. And then we are going to make sure that at least once every 4 weeks, we're showing up. And our CRM system reminds me, like, hey, today it's Mary's our Nikki day. So Mary comes up and I look at all the notes of what we've talked about in the past or what I've done in the past. And I'm like, okay, here's what I want to do today. And it might be as simple as if you're a realtor, I have articles on whatever's happening in the real estate market, and I'll cut and paste a link and I'll say, hey, Mary, maybe this is of interest to you or will help you in your business. Maybe it is that handwritten card. Maybe it's something on social media. Maybe it's a text. Maybe it's I drop by, right, with a thoughtful gift. But it just will make sense as you look at your notes and where you've been and your follow-up you create within 4 weeks. And then we just follow what the CRM system tells us to do. And then we just keep growing the key relationships in it. And there's about 30 minutes of each of my mornings that's blocked off to focus on this.
I love that because you have it blocked, right? You've got it
Yeah.
blocked, you've got it scheduled. That creates the consistency, that ritual, that routine. So there's no more excuse of, oh, I don't really want to do that. I'll do that last, which we never get
Or
to.
we forget.
Yeah,
You just get busy with the whirlwind of your day, and this isn't always top of mind until you make it a habit.
that's fantastic. For the folks that you work with, because I know you consult, you coach on this, you work on it in your own business, do you, what comes first? Is it, do you install a practice with people, or as you mentioned, a CRM? Is the technology key to success, or what do you recommend when people get started with this?
All right. So what comes first is you have to be referable, right? And so we take a deep dive into your business practices. Do you have a unique, memorable customer experience? Are you creating moments where people are like, wow, I want to do business with them? And your current customers are like, wow, I'm glad I do business with them. And so this is Seth Godin, the marketing guru, the purple cow, right? We have to make you this purple cow so that in a field of brown and white and black cows, people notice. They're like, ooh, look at that one. That's different. And so that's the first step is be relevant, be respected, be referable. And then once you're there, now we're going to really talk about how you can start adding value to others. Ask more questions than you're sharing about yourself, right? So, Mary, what are your goals for the upcoming year? What struggles or obstacles are you facing in your industry? Who may I know that could help you in your business? What does a perfect referral look like? What's your perfect customer avatar look like? Maybe I know that person. I can make an introduction. So everything is how can we add value to Mary's life? And one of the first things, because the next question we get is, where do I start without being weird, about being cringy? Like, how, I've never met Mary. Yes, it'd be great to know her. But so what we do is we do a weekly highlight, right? A spotlight post on our social. We have a pretty good social following. And I might go into Becky Smith, for example, and say, hey, Becky, we run a weekly. Now, the company I represent is known with Jake, right? So we do a Where's Jake Wednesday. So I bring my Jake cutout. And so I'll go to Accent Brokerage and Becky will take a picture with it, or we'll take a picture at her desk or in the agency. We'll have Jake there. And then I just do like newspaper style. And this has gotten a lot easier with AI, frankly, where I ask 7, 8 questions and Becky answers, and then you can write it yourself, or you can just plug it into AI and say, write me an awesome spotlight post for social media. And then we post Where's Jake Wednesday. We tag Becky in her business, and then she shares it, and other people would cross pollinate the markets. I'm asking for nothing in return. I'm delivering her eyeballs on her and her business, which presumably helps at no charge. And then I send a follow up thank you card, and then we connect that, and it's just away we go. So that's how we start it. The other thing that we've done, which you're doing, which we're talking about now, is we started a podcast, my wife and I. And it's our area code here in Central New York is 315. And it's the Love Living Local, for those of you watching this behind me, the Love Living Local 315 podcast. And so now we go and same concept. We shine a spotlight on awesome people doing awesome things in our community. And we've built this huge audience, over 10,000 followers, and we get, thousands of downloads, and we do a bunch of fun stuff on social. And so now I can go to people I want to connect with and offer them the opportunity to share their story, highlight their business. I don't charge, I don't ask for anything in return, but I'm giving them huge value. And now the relationship is growing stronger because of it. So that's the process.
I hope everyone took their sticky notes out and wrote that down, that you have to first start with being referable, right? It's not about, okay, who am I going to call today, right? Because that's where the ick factor comes in, I'm imagining.
Yes.
But okay, why you? Why would they even want to refer you? So first and foremost, if anyone did not write that down, please grab your sticky note and write that down now. Be referable first. And I like how you mentioned the purple cow. I love Seth Godin. All marketers have to do that. That's part of our badge of honor, right? We have to say. But you brought up something that is really interesting because you mentioned Becky and she's in real estate. I'm sure a lot of people listening, like myself, could probably rattle off 10 local realtors that I know, right?
Mhm.
And depending on who I'm able to refer, if someone comes to me with a situation, I'm probably going to think of certain ones of those as maybe a better match for them or different needs or those kind of things. So when you're working with people on that step of like how to become referable, or like you said, maybe they do want to start a podcast, or maybe they do want to, create their own version of Where's Jake? I love that idea. How does someone even, in your mind and in your experience with the folks that you've worked with, how do they start that in the context of making sure it is something that can be referable, that can be distinctive enough that you do get pulled out of these memory banks? Because that's one of the things as a marketer I'm always challenged with is how do we create these memory associations? So when someone comes into these experiences or hears someone say XYZ, oh, that's the memory that I'm going to pull out. I'm going to pull out Scott, or I'm going to pull out Mary. I'm going to pull out Becky. When you're thinking about that, for example, have you come up, has anyone come to you with an idea of, oh, I want to do this, and this is going to set me really apart? And you're like, oh, yeah, let's not do that.
I love being as far outside the box as possible. So I start these think tank meetings with, I don't even, it doesn't even have to be legal or plausible. No, everything's on the table to start. Now we're going to funnel it down to a place where it is legal, ethical, and compliant, but no idea is stupid. So we welcome them all. And I have a lot of stupid ones myself. The outside of what we already talked about with the blog and the podcast and delivering, it's really showing up in unique ways, doing what's John Ruhlin say? This is a giftology, is a great book by John Ruhlin. And so we've gotten really unique with our gift giving, show up in uncommon ways, or I don't know, he says it really well. But right now we're going into the holiday season at time of recording. I don't send holiday cards. But I do in January, after all the dust settles, send belated holiday cards. Oh my gosh, Mary, like I'm sure your world's crazy like mine is, and between the kids and the business and whatever. I never even got to holiday cards or whatever. And I can only do that once, by the way, because every year, yeah. But what I'll do is I'll say, I hope your holiday was fantastic. I hope 2025 brings you an abundance of health and happiness. And I look forward to connecting with you and hopefully collaborating, and anything you need, let me know. And that type of messaging goes out. I don't send birthday cards because so you get the point. Everyone's getting cards and holidays. Everyone's getting cards and gifts during their birthday. So we try to show up in unique, memorable ways. I know we talked about brand builders before we recorded. Ben is my strategist, and Ben, my birthday's in July. So Ben every January sends me half a birthday card. It's literally ripped in half. And it says, hey, halfway through this 47th trip around the sun or whatever, hope all is well. And so he sends me a birthday card in January when my birthday's in July, signifying I'm halfway there. So to answer your question, memory bank, how do people think of you, remember you? The number one rule of marketing is you got to see something, whatever the number is nowadays, 12 times, 17 times, whatever. You got to see something a lot, right? So that's the every 4 weeks we're showing up. Doesn't have to be in person. It can just be on social. It could be in their inbox. It can be via text, whatever, but they're seeing your name or thinking about you. But the big splash stuff is the unique, thoughtful gift giving, second layer connections. What do I mean by that? You mentioned you have a 10 and 12-year-old. If I was putting you through this process, I would know their names. I would know the sports they play. I would keep an eye on your social media because, as all proud parents, when your son wins the lacrosse game, you post about it or whatever. And I'm going to send your son a card with a gift certificate for an ice cream or a pizza or something and say, hey, Johnny, that's his name. I see you did a great job. I know your mom and dad are super proud of you, whatever. And send that to him. And that's going to warm your heart, right? That someone noticed their kid. And so it's doing things like that that really pull on the heartstrings. The other thing too with gifting is don't give away your stuff. This is like the number one mistake people make in my industry. They give, is there a worse gift in the world than, hey, go promote my business? You know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't want to wear your stupid t-shirt or have your, so so what I do is I give them gifts about their business, right? So I'll do like a charcuterie board that says sticky note marketing podcast established whatever year. I'll have it engraved and I'll give that to you. And it doesn't have my name on it. It doesn't, but every time you use that, you're going to know that I gave it to you. And so we're always looking for opportunities to show up in uncommon ways.
I think that's so smart. And I love the half a birthday card thing that Ben does. I might have to steal that.
Yeah.
But that lines up though with his brand character, right? His personal brand character is funny and witty, and that lines up with that. So I think if everyone's writing their notes down as they should be on their sticky notes, think about, what does your brand stand for? What does your business stand for? What is a unique way to show up that's not what everyone else is doing, that's going to associate that experience, right? This relationship, reach out moment with that person and your brand, right? What is distinctive about you? So I think that's
what you hit on there is so important, and we haven't talked about it, is be genuine, be sincere, be authentic, be true to you. People's BS meters are higher than ever today. I recently had a client that said, he's in the state of Utah, and he wouldn't mind if I said his name, but I'm not going to. But he said, Scott, I was at a thing recently and blah, blah, blah. And I ran into someone, and he wears a cowboy hat. And he's known in his town as the guy with the cowboy hat. He goes, nobody in Utah wears cowboy hats. He goes, I'm going to start wearing a cowboy hat. All the events, because I'm going to become the agent. No, and I said, Dave, that's fantastic if you're comfortable with it. Is that you? Or is it you trying to be something you're not because people are going to see through? So everyone's different, right? 7 billion people on the planet. We all have a different fingerprint, or we all have different DNA. And so figure out what is your brand DNA and just be true to yourself.
yeah. I think that's so smart. Yeah, I had a similar experience with a client that really wanted to be a little different. She got really into, she started wearing a certain color glasses, but she didn't need glasses. So then it just became an annoying thing for her. And then you could, I don't know. So it just created more problems than solutions. So yes, reminder, it has to be authentic because that BS meter is working pretty hard over time. Awesome. I think everyone's probably got a pretty full sticky note at this point. However, I'd love to just ask one more question, which is, how can people learn more? Because I know you've got a book out there, right? We've got referrals done right. I know you've got your own podcast you mentioned, but what is the best way? Because I know there are certain people who are listening right now and they're like, okay, I got to learn more. Like I know I got a couple questions answered, but it brought up more. What's the best way for people to follow up and find you?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. The book is easy, right? It's at all major retailers and it's on audio and Kindle and all that. And then the podcast, we release 2 new episodes a week. That's also called Referrals Done. And then if people want to personally connect, my website is home base and it's just my name, scottgrates.com.
Fantastic. And if you're listening or watching, all of those links will be wherever you are right now, listening or watching to this will accompany this episode with those links. So please definitely connect with Scott. And any parting thoughts, any last minute words, anything we didn't get to, Scott, today that you want to make sure everyone takes away from today?
I appreciate that. I think we're in this microwave society and we hit on this, and I just want to double down on this, that we want everything instantly. But there's a natural order to everything, right? So you've got to plant, then cultivate, then you can harvest. You can't plant today and harvest tomorrow, even though we want to. And so with marketing specifically, and I know what you would agree with this, is just be patient and understand that the cultivation process is where the magic happens, right? So it starts with the plant. You got to plant the seeds, but then the cultivation process. And then the other thing I would say that we didn't touch on is don't give up on somebody just because they don't do business with you or they're not a referral source after a year or two, because they very well may be able to connect you, right? So we want to create this connection economy and focus on these super connectors, if you will. So Mary may not never do business with me, and she may never send a prospect my way, a referral, but she may introduce me to 2 or 3 people that she knows that I otherwise couldn't get to because I'm pouring value into her and she appreciates that. And then she says, you know what? I think you would jive well with so. And then I meet so, and he or she becomes the greatest referral source ever. So don't give up on people just because they're not directly reciprocating. They very well could lead you to others. So there's my
That's a
parting wisdom.
fantastic reminder. Yeah. So don't feel like the only measure of success is that conversion to client. It could be a conversion to a connector.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you, Scott, so much
Thank
for all
you.
of these gold nuggets. I know everyone's got a lot of notes they're taking home from this. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and expertise.
Thank you, Mary.
Awesome. And thank you guys all for listening or watching wherever you're joining us today from on the Sticky Note Marketing Show. Stay tuned for our next guest expert coming up in the series. And if you have a topic that you want to learn more about, you want me to go out and find in my network that expert to answer those questions that you've got, please definitely reach out to us. You can connect with us anytime and send my team an email over at support@maryzarnecki.com. Let us know what you want to learn from the Sticky Note Marketing Show. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Sticky Note Marketing Show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might benefit. Until next time, keep it simple and stay focused.